So, if you're subscribed to my weekly newsletter, the Simple Truth newsletter, or if you keep up with the community posts I share here on YouTube, then you may already be familiar with a not so small project my wife and I had going on a few weeks ago, where we had all new flooring and carpet installed throughout our entire place. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a massive headache and a bit of an inconvenience to move everything, but I'm glad we did because the soon to be new dad and me just wanted to ensure everything was fresh and clean for my family. And I think we accomplished that. I mean, it feels good, and I'm sure my son is going to love it. But the reason I'm sharing this story with you is because I had my dad over hours before this project started to help me move some of the larger furniture pieces, like this couch, because there's only so much my wife can carry now that her stomach is getting bigger. And as we were disassembling our bed, my dad commented on how simple and minimal our closet is. And although he is aware that we practice minimalism, he was still shocked to see with his own eyes how little we own, especially as a growing family. And as we were carrying the mattress and conversing for a little bit, I started thinking about some of the simple tricks my wife and I implement to help our home feel simple. And I figured that would be a helpful conversation to share with you. So let's talk about it. Now, before I share the simple tricks that we've implemented specifically, I want to invite you to consider a different definition of a minimalist or a simple home from what you may already subscribe to. Personally, I believe that minimalism is about living with more of what matters by choosing to want less of what doesn't. However, here's a bit of a different perspective. A minimalist home or a simple home is a space that feels just right for you and your family. It's not too cluttered or too bare. The colors, the furniture, and the style represent you and your family, but in a way that's just enough. For starters, I want to encourage you to consider your routine and how much time you want to commit to cleaning, maintaining, and managing your home. One of many rules my wife and I live by that I'm going to give to you free of charge is this: more stuff, more time required to manage it. Managing, including things like cleaning and maintenance. And the reason we live by this rule is simple. We only get 24 hours in a day, and most of those hours are taken up with work so we can afford to live and enjoy life and or sleeping. And if you sleep anywhere between 6 and 8 hours a night, then that right there is already 14 to 16 hours of your 24-hour day. And that's assuming you work 8 hours and nothing more than that, right? And I don't know about you, but I don't want to spend the remaining hours of my day cleaning, organizing clutter, and yet managing another job. So if we're on the same page, which I'm sure we are, then when you're decluttering a space in your home, consider how much time, energy, and sometimes money you're willing to devote to cleaning and maintenance, knowing you only have 24 hours in a day, and then use that answer to inform how much of something you want to keep. To bring the conversation I had with my dad a few weeks ago about our bedroom closet full circle, one of the reasons, not the only reason, but one of the reasons we keep our closet so simple and minimal is because we don't want doing laundry to take longer than it has to, or to feel like we have to dedicate an entire Saturday just to get it done. And I'm keeping it real with you. That's not how I would prefer to spend my precious 24 hours. Now, the clothes in our closet is just one example of how we're implementing and applying this mindset throughout our entire home. We also do this in our kitchen. We do this in our son's room, in our linen closet. So in regards to how many or how few towels and bed linens we actually own and so on. So trust me, implementing this mindset and approach to your possessions throughout your entire home, throughout your entire life will make your home feel simple because it is simple, both in appearance and functionality day to day. Now, most people tend to want to fill all of the empty spaces in their home with stuff, decor, knickknacks, pictures on every wall, accent chairs, just because there's a hole in that corner of the room. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's your style, right? To be fair, I used to be this way. But I want to encourage you to experiment with clear surfaces, bare walls, and uncluttered floors. Something we tend to do anytime we move into a new space is we allow ourselves to sit in that space for a while and really get a sense of how it feels. We live in it as it is without rushing to decorate. So that way we can see what our needs are, how we want to use the space, And only after that's clear do we start to explore design and design styles and decorating and materiality, as some architects say. So ask yourself, does your space create feelings of lightness and ease? And no, that doesn't mean an all white space. I mean, we painted a wall in our son's room black, which the last time I checked is the polar opposite of white, but it still feels light. Does it feel peaceful? Does it feel functional? Does it feel simple? And if it does, great, you're on the right track. And if it doesn't, then try experimenting with empty space. Might feel weird at first, but I promise you, with continued intention behind it, it would definitely change the way your home feels, the way you feel at home. Speaking of intentional empty space, the next trick I have would definitely change the game in terms of how you feel at home. And that is knowing when to use open shelving versus closed storage. A good rule of thumb is this: open shelving is for decor and curated things you want to put on display. Closed storage, on the other hand, is for everything else we tend to need to keep around, but these things aren't necessarily the most attractive to look at. In my opinion, the quickest way to make your home not feel simple is by taking items that are meant to go in closed storage and placing them on a bookshelf or on top of a sideboard or a table or anywhere out in the open where they're visible to the naked eye. Hands down, visual clutter can instantly change the way your home feels in a bad way. But when you take a more curated approach to the things you leave out to be seen and tuck away everything else, it feels different. It feels intentional. It feels simple. For example, and I talked about this space we have behind our couch in a video a couple of weeks ago, where I shared how I currently have boxes of hard drives and camera equipment, microphones, and stuff all over the place back here, right? As an example, this here is a case that I use to store part of my big light in. The other case for it is right over here. That's a box of hard drives. This here is my camera bag. And then this box back here is another storage system that I still have to set up. It's a mess back here. And I could leave it because on camera from this angle, you can't really see it. But in real life, you can. And I'm solving that with closed storage. So something that's A, not too bulky or intrusive in our space to the point where we can't enjoy it, but B, it's also functional enough to hide the equipment that I don't want to be seen, but also gives me an option to display decor or things that interest me or represent my interests if I want to. And as I start to build this out, I'll definitely bring you along on that journey because I think it'd be fun to document and share it with you. All right, really quick, I like to circle back and talk about home decor a bit further for a second. Because a minimalist home, a simple home, doesn't have to be neutral and bare. If you love color, use color. If you're into patterns and textures, embrace those interests. It's your home, right? Now, a simple trick that I want to challenge you to try is something called clutter-free home decor. Yeah, here are some examples: painting both your walls and your furniture, changing out light fixtures. And yes, this is something that's renter friendly. Just check with your landlord first to make sure it's okay, specifically where you live. Okay, what else? Changing out curtains or hanging curtains, using fresh flowers or a fruit basket. There's also plants and cozy blankets, even speakers and music, because in my opinion, I think the noise we use to fill a space can also be recognized as curated decor that represents who we are as individuals. And sound, along with everything else I named, are things that you can do in your space with ease and relatively quickly in order to make your space feel more like you and feel simple without overwhelming it with unnecessary things and clutter. Okay, I have a question for you before we continue this conversation. Where do you go in your home to relax? Is it your bedroom? Do you have a favorite chair or a corner in a room? Let me know down in the comments. Now, I can bet that wherever that space is in your home, you want it to feel elevated and peaceful and clutter-free at all times, right? I mean, I want that for you too, to be honest. And I know it can be challenging to keep clutter at bay, especially if you share your space with a partner or kids or extended family in some cases that don't necessarily share the same clutter-free values as you. And if that's true for you, then I want you to implement clutter-free and clutter-safe zones. Clutter-free zones are areas where you, as the homeowner, would like to keep clutter-free all the time or as often as realistically possible. Think about the places you go to relax, to write, to read, to daydream, to pray even. Your kitchen might even be a clutter-free zone in your house if that's realistic at all. Now, on the other hand, clutter-safe zones are areas where you as the homeowner would not have a panic attack if things are left out and appear unorganized from time to time. Think about a playroom or a play corner if you have kids. Maybe a desk or a shared workspace where those in your household can be creative and work on projects. Maybe a clutter safe zone in your house is your partner's nightstand or their side of the closet. You get the point. Implementing clutter free and clutter safe zones is an easy way to ensure that your home feels simple while also making sure that those you share your home with also feel at home. I hope this helps. If you have questions, let's talk about them down in the comments. Also, if you're looking for more inspiration and guidance to help you navigate living a simple and intentional life, I have a playlist just for you. Keep growing on your journey, my friend. Keep learning and always stay true to you. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.